Ms. Ali, thank you very much for talking with us today. First of all, you consider yourself president-elect. The elections have been held since March 2nd. I just wondered how that period from then to now has been for you.
From then to now, it has been many hurdles that we overcame. It has been a bumpy road, and it has not been the best time for Guyana. Not only does it relate to COVID-19 and the pandemic and the difficulties people are going through, I don't believe the government understands what is happening on the ground. I don't think that they're connected with the ground to understand the challenges people are facing out there. So we realize that during this period, whilst we have this political battle, we also have a responsibility to provide leadership to the country, leadership to the people. We had a responsibility to Guyana and Guyanese. That is when we launched the National Stakeholders Forum to deal with the issue of COVID-19. And the support from civil society, from communities, from ordinary people has been enormous for that forum, to the extent that we have been able to mobilize and distribute more than 150,000 masks, and we're still doing it. We have distributed to date maybe 25 to 30,000 hampers. Our country is in a crisis mode politically, is in a crisis mode from an economic standpoint, from a financial standpoint, from a public health standpoint. So it's a perfect time bomb. The country is in this crisis mode, and the government is not connected with the mode that the country is in, and it is just frightening. It is sad. It is frightening what is taking place on the ground, and that is why we have to shift this country into a mode of a mode where it is stable, where we can move to legitimate government and we can start implementing policies and programs to address these issues that would have serious consequences down the road. What I'm very, very proud of as a Guyanese is the national coalition, I would want to say. The national coalition, the coming together of conscious Guyanese, the coming together of a wide cross-section of Guyanese in protecting this democracy, in standing up, in standing firm, in speaking out, in adding their voices.
You wouldn't argue with the comment that the PPP has the most well-oiled political machinery in the Caribbean. I don't think you'll argue with that.
We can't argue with that.
So, during this recount process, the allegations have been made that the PPP used that machinery in order to get persons to vote in the names of persons who were either dead or out of the country.
Well, Neil, you capture it correctly. Allegations. Let's start from there. We have seen...
But you did not do that.
Of course, totally we did not do that. The PPP has never involved itself in anything that would be considered rigging an election or trying to change the outcome of an election. That is not how the PPP is built. The PPP is a well-oiled election machinery that does its political work and stay connected with the people of the country. GCOM has a responsibility to defend its own credibility. The PPP, we are sure about our credibility. That is why we could have placed our SOPs out there without hesitation.
Are you sure about the credibility of GCOM at this point in time?
Well, the credibility of GCOM has come in for tremendous questioning because of what Mingo Declaration did to GCOM itself. But they have an opportunity now. An opportunity has presented itself now for them to demonstrate to the world and to all of Guyana that, listen, we are capable of being professional, we are capable of being honest and decent, and we are capable of doing what is right.
Do you think all the objections that are being raised now will eventually lead to a point where this recount process itself would be derailed?
Well, there is one school of thought that believe that all of this is just a smokescreen to a bigger plan of derailing the reconquest. But for us in leadership, we have to remain positive, and the task at hand now is to ensure that this reconquest is conducted and completed in a way that is credible, transparent, and it's done to the end. And the legitimate government is announced and sworn in, and then take it from there.
Now, you've talked a lot about a national coalition. I will say if, you will say when the PPP comes into office. What sort of space could you offer to those forces that have not necessarily been behind the PPP to get into office, but to ensure that the truth of what people went to the polls on March 2nd was intended to accomplish?
As I said earlier, this period has really reignited in me the commitment, not only from a personal standpoint, but the commitment from so many stakeholders in the Guyanese spirit, in believing in Guyana and doing what is right for Guyana, that it presents a perfect platform in building a governance structure and mechanism that brings the spirit into the development pathway, that brings that spirit into the decision-making pathway, that brings that spirit into the good governance pathway.
Mr. Ali, the night, Wednesday night, after the vote, you were standing outside Ashman building with all these leaders of the different political parties. A couple of hours later, you were with them at Sleeping Hotel for another press conference. So my question really was, if it is possible at all that Guyana could move to that level where we would see that sort of political cooperation at the highest levels of...
That is the intent. That is the intent of building this national approach, that we must have political cooperation. We can have different views, we can have different ideas as to what may be the best path, but that is what a melting pot does. We must be able to sit down in a mature way, debate those ideas, debate those plans, and come up with the best alternative for Guyana. So, and that is what I meant by a national face. It's not a national face with 10 different persons appearing together. It's a national face in the structure of moving forward. The development structure, ensuring that we build this governance structure that enhances national trust and so on. So that is the type of thing that I think would build goodwill. It would also demonstrate to Guyana, and I believe strongly, having examined all the events from March the 2nd and even March the 2nd itself, that the political framework of our country is changing. The vast majority of voters now are young people. They see things differently, and even as the new government coming in, I am very mindful of the fact that the mode of Guyanese people now is really a results-oriented mode, especially the younger generation. They're not going to treat lightly with incompetence. They're not going to treat lightly with failures. So more and more, I think we'll move to a system that is results-oriented and results-rewarded. So that is where I think the political system would emerge.